Chapter 4. When you are trying too hard. Hard work is a success cliche that makes people work unnecessarily hard. Some of the most successful people in life achieved their goals not because of their blood, sweat, and tears, but primarily because they worked less than other people, but in a more focused way. British billionaire Richard Branson is a prime example of working less and achieving more. As he said in his interview with Inc. magazine, early on in your career, find someone better than yourself to run the business on a day to day basis. Remove yourself, maybe even from the building and from the nitty gritty. That way, you are going to be able to see the bigger picture and think of new areas to go into. Branson has been following this approach since his early days. As he points out in the same interview, in some ways, it's easier today for me to oversee a few hundred companies than it was when I was hands on running the business myself. Learning the art of delegation is absolutely key. When you stop trying so hard, it's much easier to persevere. You no longer have to toil away with no reward and remind yourself of your goal. Things happen with much less effort, and the reward is much bigger too. In this chapter, we will explore several concepts and techniques for how to follow the philosophy of less is more to help you keep going during hard times. Focus on the vital few. The 80-20 principle, also known as the Pareto principle, is one of the most practical universal laws that can help you avoid many hardships and achieve more with much less work. One of the most common reasons why people give up is because they become overwhelmed. For instance, when you start learning a new language, you have yet to become aware of how many things: grammar, vocabulary, proper pronunciation, and intonation you don't know. In psychology, it's called unconscious incompetence. When you go from this phase to the second stage, conscious incompetence, you realize the vast deficits in your knowledge. It's during this stadium that many people give up, terrified or discouraged by how much they have to learn. The rule of the vital few says that the minority of things matter a great deal and the majority of things don't matter a lot. The key is to focus on just a couple of crucial things and disregard the rest. Your task becomes manageable again and you keep going with much less effort. When you apply this rule during the stage of conscious incompetence, you will reduce the risk of giving up. In the case of learning languages, it's usually the ability to communicate with native speakers. Basic sentences and phrases are much more important than proper grammar and getting the intonation right. In the case of building a business, it's getting your first client, the next one, and the next one. Leave thinking about more complex business tasks for later. And in fitness, you don't have to learn more than a few basic movements like squat, deadlift, bench press, overhead press, chin up. All the other exercises are not necessary for most trainees. Deconstruct each of your goals in a similar way and don't let the complexity deter you from making progress. Disregard the effort, focus on the results. The myth of hard work has instilled in many people a perverse belief that it's the effort that counts, not the results. For some strange reason, a hardworking person who spends 12 hours at work is a better employee than someone who works for 2 hours but generates more output than the first person. Society glorifies busyness and struggle instead of effectiveness and smart thinking. You can observe the same phenomenon when people work on their goals. Losing weight is associated with starving. Working out at the gym is associated with endless hours of extremely intensive training. And building a business is associated with sleeping 4 hours per night and working for the remaining 20 hours straight. It's no wonder that people who focus on the effort burn out and give up. Switch your focus from busyness and struggle to getting results. When setting goals, always look for the easiest way to reach them. Now, how to stop operating at suboptimal level? All of us know how dangerous stress is to our health. Yet, the image of success people have in their minds usually means extremely hard and stressful work, frequently at the cost of stress, wreaking havoc on your body. Yet, studies suggest that not persevering all the time that helps people operate as optimal level. In fact, taking a break can help you become more productive and prevent burnout. If you believe that when you are under pressure, you should push harder, consider the following studies. In one study on 87 blue collar employees in Israel, researchers found that, possibly unsurprisingly, vacation elevated perceived job stress and burnout. The decline in burnout lasted for 4 weeks after the vacation. See, one break can increase your performance for an entire month. Another study conducted on 11th healthy students on the Stanford University men's varsity basketball team found out that increased total sleep time leads to improved mood, fatigue, and vigor, all the key elements of perseverance. More sleep also increased athletic performance and reaction time. Still ensure that working less rather than pushing more can help you keep going? Do a little experiment. For 1 week, record your level of dedication to your goals and maintain your current sleeping patterns. Then, for the next week, sleep an hour longer than usual or take one short nap during the day and measure it again. Low energy contributes to a lot of negative thoughts and discouragement. Similarly, in an Australian study on students during the examination period, stress led to the deterioration of diet and sleep. Students struggled with controlling their emotions, exercised less, and paid less attention to household chores and self care habits. They also cared less about commitments and spending. How close would you be giving up if you stopped caring about simple self care habits? If you can't afford sleeping longer during the night, consider taking a short nap during the day. A study on 28 air traffic controllers in New Zealand suggests that taking a 40-minute nap at work, despite it being short and of poor quality, increases alertness and performance. Despite overwhelming evidence that sleep and rest increase performance and willpower, so many people still believe that more is better. Yet, even the peak performers show otherwise. Professor K. Anders Ericsson and his colleagues at Florida State University have studied top musicians, athletes, actors, and chess players. The scientists found out that the elite performers typically practice in highly focused sessions that last no more than 90 minutes. Moreover, they rarely work for more than 4.5 hours a day. As Dr. Erickson said, to maximize gains from long term practice, individuals must avoid exhaustion and must limit practice to an amount from which they can completely recover on a daily or weekly basis. All the evidence presented in these studies suggests that persistence isn't about pushing yourself to the limits, just like Amundsen didn't push his team harder, even though they could go on longer. You will be better off sticking to working fewer hours and taking regular breaks to re energize yourself. Contrary to what many self help authors suggest, persistence is more about proper rest and focus than pushing harder and harder. Now, when you are trying too hard, a quick recap. First, the rule of the vital few says that the majority of the results come from a small part of the overall efforts. People who don't approach their goals with this principle in their minds are more likely to become overwhelmed and give up. When you focus on the essence of what you want to achieve, you will reduce the risk of giving in. Second, focus on the results instead of the efforts. Struggling for the sake of struggling is a surefire way to burn out and give up. Third, stress and lack of proper rest will lead you to burn out. Make sure to take a break from time to time and get your mind off your goals. Fourth and the last one, top performance recognize the power of proper rest and effectiveness. If the most elite athletes, musicians, actors, and chess players can succeed practicing a mere 4.5 hours a day, so can you.